Hey, welcome to Kaijutopia. I'm Tom, and I will be reviewing Netflix's Skull Island in this video. This review will be the 8th wonder of spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, you may want to pray for mercy from Kong. Released on Netflix on June 22nd, 2023, Skull Island's first season consists of 8 episodes written by Brian Duffield, writer of Love and Monsters and the criminally underrated Underwater. With S-tier studios, Powerhouse Animation, Warner Brothers Animation, Legendary Television, and Tractor Pants Production handling the super cool animation graphics. Skull Island is the Monsterverse's first leap into animation, taking place between the events of Kong Skull Island and Godzilla 2014. It introduces a colorful cast of characters with lively personalities and motivations. Their survival becomes a race against time as legions of monsters threaten to tear them limb from limb. One thing that I absolutely love about this show is how much confidence it placed in its cast. The leading players are all given ample time to grow as fully developed characters. None of the drama felt forced. Whenever the characters argued, it felt organic. Let's talk about these characters in greater detail. Annie might be the most compelling human character in the Monsterverse since Kong Skull Island's Hank Marlowe, voiced by Mae Whitman, whom Avatar: The Last Airbender fans might recognize as Katara. Annie initially comes across as an immature, dangerous youth. She seems to relish the sight of danger, to the point where she'll gleefully fight hordes of monsters while putting everyone else in danger. While Annie's kill or be killed demeanor might seem cold-hearted, it's more of an extension of her survivor's guilt. Years ago, Annie and her father were shipwrecked on a mysterious island, which also happened to have monsters. It is the Monsterverse, after all. Annie not only watched her father die, she had to bury him. Though tragic, Annie later befriended a creature who would eventually become her best friend and protector. Dog. Annie and Dog make for an exciting pairing. Unfortunately, both of their parents died killing each other. The circumstances behind how they met were nothing short of tragic. Still, their bond is as unshakable as it is unmistakable. In many respects, Annie is the human equivalent of Kong. More on him later. Most of her life has been a living hell. Despite her tragic past, Annie is, at her core, a good person and can be trusted to do the right thing. Like when she risked her life to save Charlie's dad from what would have been a terrible fate. Speaking of Charlie, I enjoyed his character. Whenever he talked, my interest perked because of his sense of humor alone. His character could have easily been two-dimensional, but thanks to Nicholas Cantu's voice acting talents and the fantastic writing, Charlie's journey from being the most vulnerable of the leading trio to becoming a steadfast explorer was rewarding. One of the highlights of the show was Charlie's friendship with Mike. Mike is a great friend with a confident disposition in life. Sadly, that confidence is shattered when he sees his dad die right before his eyes. Somehow, Mike perseveres and finds the will to protect his friends, who, as far as Mike is concerned, they're the only family he's got left. Even though he spends most of the story being terribly sick and later bedridden, I hope we get to see Mike more in the future, especially since he and Charlie's banter never got old. For me, Charlie's father, Cap, is the most relatable character on the show. Not just because we're both fathers, but because of our mutual fascination with life, namely the extraordinary kind. Cap's interest in cryptozoology stemmed from a mysterious encounter at sea. He was on a ship thinking to himself when the water lit up. Somewhere beneath the ocean waves was a giant glowing creature. Cap thought it might have been a dragon or an eel. Personally, I think it was Godzilla. Either way, this profound experience changed Cap's life. I like how his curiosity is complemented by his compassion for all living things. Like father, like son, we later see Charlie tap into this when he earns Dog's trust. Without question, Irene is the most enigmatic character. Our first impression of her is meant to be that of a helpless woman with a fish out of water vibe. However, we soon discover she is intelligent, quick on her feet, commands a group of mercenaries, and has ulterior motives. My wife and I watched Skull Island together, and Irene's primary reason didn't shock us. And that's fine. Yes, Irene's interest in Annie was predictable, but it was done exceptionally well. At first, we're led to believe Irene is some kind of villain that sent a bunch of mercenaries after this poor little girl. But, well, just like Annie herself, appearances can be deceiving. Irene's really Annie's mother, who's been searching for her all this time. In many respects, this show reminded me of how Hayao Miyazaki depicted his antagonists. Not everyone who does something terrible is a bad person. People are complicated. Who knew? Another thing I liked about this show is how the mercenaries felt like actual people. Whether they're good people or not, I will let you be the judge. And Sam, being their leader, could have easily been written as a generic throwaway character. Instead, he seems to be a decent guy, and his relationship with Irene feels genuine. Okay, so one of the things I found myself saying a lot was, they're dead, or they're going to die. I mean, this is Skull Island we're talking about. A dangerous, bloodthirsty monster lurks around every corner of this forsaken place. The creature designs did not disappoint. Skull Island's cryptid denizens live up to the hype, from beach-dwelling killer crabs, to crystalloid man-eating rocks, to an Olympic diving murderous crocodile. Come on, this is awesome. But none of them hold a candle to the multi-armed fiendish monster prowling around the shoreline. The Kraken is an absolute menace. It is unabashedly depicted as a sadistically cruel bully. Seriously, it threw a whale across the island just to taunt Kong. Even worse, we'd later learn that the Kraken's intense rivalry with Kong runs much deeper than initially thought. Okay, it's time to talk about the giant ape in the room. In a bold move, Kong rarely appears, at least for the first half of the season. Occasionally, we get a quick glimpse of him here or the aftermath of his presence there. I think this was the right move to make, and the story was all the better for it. Not only that, but it helped Kong's character arc. That's right, Kong has probably the best character arc on the show. At first, he's depicted as a mythical deity, a towering titan whose ways are beyond our understanding. But when we finally see him in the light of day, Kong is much like us. He's explosively temperamental and deeply thought-provoking. When Charlie spies him thinking about something, which we'll later see in a memorable flashback episode, it instantly changes how he, and by extension we, the audience, perceive the king of Skull Island. Kong is a lot like us, and he's in mourning. Before the story's events, Kong was friends with a nameless girl. Together, they patrolled the island, fighting monsters and keeping everyone safe. Did I mention they were joined by a badass giant bird? You know what? I don't know what its name is, but this thing is awesome. I hope it comes back. Oh my gosh, we need more of this. but you know, we don't really see it at the time Kong Skull Island happens, so... The girl's imagination and bravado made her unique in the eyes of Kong. But Kong's recklessness threatened all their lives and awakened the Kraken. Before Kong could redeem himself to his friend, the Kraken sought out the girl's village and razed it to the ground. In the burning ruins, Kong found his mortally wounded friend and brought her back to his home. In her final moments, the girl passed her locket to Kong as a token of their friendship and her forgiveness. Kong gave her a proper burial, kind of much in the same way Annie buried her dad, and kept the locket. In fact, it's the locket Kong is staring at when Charlie is spying on him in the present day. Interestingly, Kong has dozens of similar artifacts he's added to his shrine over the years, suggesting he's lost many companions. Back to the locket. It attracts the attention of the main cast. To leave Skull Island in one piece, they must eliminate the Kraken, who's been making their grand escape impossible. Kong becomes the solution to their problems. Unbeknownst to the humans, however, Kong's not exactly in a hurry to fight the Kraken, which says a lot given his lust for battle. Kong knows if he fought the Kraken in the water, the Kraken would have home field advantage. And he's not exactly in the right headspace. Kong is still traumatized by losing his friend, which is why stealing the locket was necessary. Okay, get this. Annie, Charlie, and Dog sneak into Kong's home to find the locket. It is a fantastic scene, because Kong's watching them the whole time with the world's biggest... Are you being serious right now? As soon as Annie takes the locket, the race is on. And of course, realizing he's holding everyone back, Charlie jumps off to give Annie and Dog a fighting chance to reach their destination at the beach, near the shore, where the Kraken dwells, and it's there Kong meets them. Before getting smashed into oblivion, Annie stops Kong in his tracks by showing him the locket, reminding him of the friend he lost and his responsibilities as Skull Island's king. It's then the Kraken attacks, and wow, I can see why Kong was in no hurry to fight this thing. We're then treated to a no-holds-barred monster smackdown. It is awesome. Oh my gosh, this battle is intense. It's beautifully animated and choreographed. And the stakes never felt higher. Major kudos to the animators for delivering one of the best giant monster fights I have ever seen. The build-up to it was worth the wait. I won't go into exact details on the fight. I'm not going to give you a step-by-step play, as it's one of those you really should see this for yourself. However, I will say that when the Kraken finally receives its long-awaited comeuppance, it's glorious. It felt good. And it was gross. But glorious. Gloriously gross. Kong and Annie are two sides of the same coin. It's not a coincidence that both had a tragic childhood, they've both been fighting every waking moment of every day to stay alive, or are best friends with someone or something that would ordinarily be their mortal enemy. It's a testament to good writing. Kong and Annie are living proof that the most effective way to survive in this world isn't by being selfish or glorifying violence. It's through the power of coexistence. Thanks for watching! What did you think of Skull Island? Do you think we'll be getting a season 2? Admittedly, one of my few complaints about this show is how it ended on a cliffhanger. That said, I will not complain if we get a season 2. Something tells me that's exactly what's going to happen. The Monsterverse rarely misses, and Netflix's Skull Island might be its best entry yet. I hope we see more Monsterverse animated shows soon. Either way, I can't wait to see what happens next. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Before you leave, just remember one thing. Kong is king.
King, 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 Kong, 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 Kong. Kong is king.
Blah, blah, blah.